Hey, my name is Ivy Scheck-Snyder, and I'm a gaited horse trainer from Winslow, Illinois. And today we're going to be talking about training horses to gait on a loose rein. The idea that you don't have to have the rein tight to actually have the horse gaiting. So that's what I want to talk about today. If you have any questions, please go ahead and comment. I have a lot of good clips to show you today, and I'm really excited. This is a topic that I'm very passionate about, and sometimes there's a lot of disagreement, but then there's a lot of people that really do this and enjoy it and share how much fun it is when their horses start gaiting. Hey Elizabeth, thanks for joining. We'll give people a few more minutes to join before I show you the clips. The thing is, gaited horses have historically come from the, Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Southern Ohio kind of area into Ohio and Pennsylvania and Virginia. And the old way of doing it was to pull tighter on the reins and push the horse forward, and that you had to hold those reins tight. Hey Carissa, and hi to your husband, and hi Christine from Texas. And this idea that the idea that gaited horses will not gait correctly unless they have a loose rein. Now, it is easier for both the rider and the horse sometimes to help the horse by holding the reins tight, or some pressure on them. It doesn't have to be tight, but holding pressure, and to help the horse stay in gait. And it does sort of work, but what happens is the horse may get heavier and heavier on the bit and less responsive to the reins, and doesn't learn to have self-carriage and balance. Instead relies on the rider's hands to support him. Now, it is so tempting to do this, because if you get the horse in a smooth gait, you sometimes can hold light pressure and keep him in it, and you never want to lose that gait. So it's very tempting to hold that pressure rather than release and give the horse the opportunity to fail so that we can correct him so he can fix his balance himself and then continue on in balance. Hi, Valerie and Robbie and Harley and Nancy from Maryland and Kelly from Michigan and Becky and Laura. So I have a lot of great clips. I spent yesterday and today going through and finding about, I think it's 5 or 6 different horses at different stages in training. So early on, some of these horses are only going to be gaiting on a loose rein for 100 feet or a couple hundred feet. But as we go more, I'll show you a couple of more finished horses that are gaiting a quarter to a half a mile on a loose rein. And again, I do trail riding on pleasure riding. I don't do any showing. The rules are a little different for showing, so I'm not really going to address that because that is not my area of expertise. So knowing that, I want to help you guys get a fun ride. So why do we want a loose rein? Well, I tell you what, when I'm riding a horse down the road or down the trail and the reins are just going lightly side to side and the horse is just hitting a smooth gait and it's just comfortable and you're not having to pull and the horse has got his head down and relaxed, there is nothing like that feeling. It is so amazing to ride on that loose rein, and I want that for everyone, and I want that for people to experience again and again and again. But it takes some effort, and I'll be talking about how I train the loose rein as well. So I'll give you examples, and then I'll actually explain how I'm doing that. And hi, Linda and Nancy, hi, and Monica from Colorado, and Angela. She loves the loop reins and on the horn and still gait. Yep. And hi, Chris Ann. So yes, I totally love it. Now, we have about 50 people on now, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the other footage that I have for you. If there's any issues, go ahead and comment and let me know. So this first horse is a 5-year-old spotted saddle horse. I think he's a spotted saddle horse walker mix from a few years ago that I trained. And after, this is about 4 to 6 weeks of training, this is how he could gait. He could gait at about 12.5 miles an hour. And he could hold that gait for a long time. We could gait for half a mile and hardly touch the reins. So I'll show it. I'll play it a few times. It's a fairly short clip, but I want you guys to see it both in regular speed and slow motion. There is a little bit of music in the background because I didn't go find the original clip. So you can hear the footfalls when it's the regular speed, but there is a little bit of music playing. Let me know if you're having any issues. Notice the fairly low head. Notice my hands are still. Notice the reins are loose. There is no contact. It is a perfectly even 4-beat gait that he is doing, which is the saddle rack. It probably could also, I don't know if it's going to be called a single foot or not. It might not be fast enough for that. So there it is again. Again, this is just a beautiful little saddle rack. Nice, relaxed head carriage. There's no head nod, up or down or side to side. It's a nice, beautiful gait at about 12 miles an hour. And that was after 4 to 6 weeks of training. Alright, so, if you guys, there you go, let's see, Elizabeth is on here, hi, and Amarins, and Regina, and Diane from New York, and Megan from Washington. Wow, so many places. Alright, so we'll move on to the next one. So the horses can gait at different speeds as well. So this next one is a little Rocky mare. This is at the 3rd day of a clinic, and she was gaiting really well, but she still needs little touches of the reins to ask her to maintain the gait. And this is where the actual training comes in. So because some of the training is this: when your horse gaits a few steps, if you're building up the duration, what you do as soon as you feel that smooth gait, you always give them the loose rein. You always drop those reins. The trick that a lot of what people do is they tend to want to just hold that light contact, hold that gait just a little longer, just hold it a little longer. And we never give the horse the opportunity to hold it without us pulling on them. So here she is. Oh, let me see. Get it started right at the beginning here. Hang on, there you go. Quick side note, she is in a bitless bridle of a couple horses being shown. I don't endorse this kind of bitless bridle. I love bitless, so don't ask me what kind it is. But it is a bitless bridle. Notice that she gets a little pacey, so I'm asking her to drop her head. But you'll notice that when she drops it, I'll give her a loose rein. And there's a few clips in here. So there's the loose rein. You see, her head came up, and so I'm putting a little bit of contact. As soon as her nose comes in, look at me drop the reins. So again, this is just the 3rd day of a clinic, so it's really normal for the horse to pick the head up again. So there's the head down, and then I'll give a little bit of the loose rein. There. I'm not trying to hold her nose there. See my hands come forward as I give her that loose rein. And look at her maintain that gait. And she comes out of it mostly when she puts her head up, not because I drop the reins. But you could see how practicing this, you could get the horse to have that smooth gait. But so basically when they break gait, that's when you would pick up your reins and either ask them to get out of the trot or get out of the pace. But then as soon as they start gaiting, you give them that loose rein. And yes, you can totally do it in a bit or a bitless bridle. Keep checking back. Let's see. We have Diana. Let's see. Wow, so many people on here. Let's see. Wow. Okay. We have Tammy. Hi. Hi, Lisa. And Elaine. And Mary says the dog popping out. Yeah, Cloud does that. Hi, Catherine Jane from North Carolina. And Diana from Texas. And Tracy from Phoenix, Arizona. Brian says, what do you do with pacey horses? Brian, I'll share a link in the description when the video's over with the video that I have about it. Because I have a great video on how to work with the pace. And Tammy from California. That's a Missouri Foxtrot that's never really gaited. Good news is 18 years old is not too old. Catherine, thank you so much. I like my hair too. Wayland from Michigan. Hey guys, good to see you. Hannah says that because of the training I taught, her horse is gaiting beautifully on a loose rein. She says I can completely drop the reins and she'll gait. She gaits better loose than with any kind of contact. That's so awesome, Hannah. Emilia says, why does my horse only get pacey in the arena? I know sand is a little too deep, but I can't fix that since I bored. Why is that? Actually, Emilia, did the video yesterday, the live video. I addressed that a little bit. Hey, Treva and Melody. All right. Thanks. I just wanted to say hi to everybody, and we are going to move on to the next. This next horse is from a clinic in Texas a few years ago. In San Antonio. This is a really nice little mare. She actually since passed away, so I feel really bad for Jennifer. This is her horse. This horse was so wonderful. She's a Tennessee walking horse, I believe, though that could be wrong because it's been a couple of years. And she tended to be pacey, but she would also trot. And after, again, the third day of the clinic, you can see the difference. Because I think she's a little bit trotty in this video. The exposure's a little bit off, but I want to just show you this here. So you'll see me touch the reins as I'm asking her for head up or head down, but then I'll release the pressure on the reins. Sometimes it's to get the horse to gait. Sometimes it's to have the horse slow down, because when I'm training the gait, I can't allow the horse to go too fast. So there's some reasons why you would pick up the reins, but you never want to hold that pressure to keep them in gait. See, when she drops her head, that's when I give a release. Now, sometimes you'll see me give a horse a really big release, and sometimes you'll see me give a smaller release. But again, I'm never just holding the contact unless I'm trying to get the horse to slow down or to stop or to like put her head down, and then I gave a release. And hi, Linda from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and hi, Nan from Maryland. Your horse is awesome, Nan. And Diane, let's see. So, oh, thank you, Diane. And Diane, send me a message if you want to know the song from that video. All right, next clip. This is also from the same clinic. This is Maggie, and I can't remember which breed she is. Her owner wanted a little bit more speed. She's a nice little mare, and she started doing this beautiful gait. Again, she is also in a bitless bridle, and all the training at the clinic was in a bitless bridle, and she tended to be a little bit trottier. And so you'll see me pick up the reins a little bit at times, but look how loose those reins are.
Oh, okay.
I think you can hear the gait a little bit.
Oh, good nag.
I'll let it play one more time so you can hear the gait.
Oh, okay.
It's a beautiful little gait.
Oh, good nag.
All right, so again, this is just a really nice, slow saddle rack on a loose rein. And again, this is just after 3 days of gait training at a clinic, and she obviously would get even better and better with practice. And this is just by giving a loose rein and then only correcting the gait if you need to. Betty, hi, I loved working with you and Journey at the Texas clinic. And May from Durango, and Chrissy, hi Chrissy, and Lori from Ohio. And Diane asks, does it matter if you use one rein or both to ask for head down? It doesn't matter. The way I train it is you use both reins. Obviously, if your horse understands one rein and it works, that's totally fine to use one rein. My training is for 2 because I want the horse to soften their nose, bring their nose in toward their chest. Then you release the reins, and that's when the horse drops his head. All right, here's another clip of Maggie, the same horse, at the same clinic. So here you can see me putting just a little bit of pressure on with my reins, and then just because I can, I'm going to show you that I'm going to drop the reins totally. Now again, this is only the 3rd day, so she gets a little bit trotty. But you could see how, with a little bit of practice, this could be held for much longer as the horse builds the gaiting muscles. And again, this we have had shown 2 horses bitless, and the other horses are with bits, just to show you that you can do it either way. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. My name is Ivy Scheck-Snyder. I'm a gaited horse trainer, primarily from Northern Illinois, and I'm doing these live videos every day. During the week, they're at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have a private training group you can join for $100, and that's a lifetime fee. Lifetime one-time fee. You can get lifetime access if you join, and there's a lot more videos and clips like that that are not available to the public. And you can post videos and ask questions, and I'll share a link in the description. But if not, if you can't afford that, don't worry. I'll keep doing these free videos. No worries. And let's see here. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. I am here to try to answer any questions today. I have one more clip to show you, and this is my horse, Buck, or he was my horse. I did sell him. And he is a Kentucky Mountain Saddle horse, and this is with not a ton of training, so like it wasn't like working 5 days a week for 4 weeks to get this, but with just a little bit of consistent training, I was able to get him where he would just gait smoothly on a loose rein. Now he's being ridden in a snaffle, but this is going to show you just how absolutely loose the rein can be. We are gaiting toward home. This is the best kind of ride. That's a saddle rack. He tends to get a little bit trotty if anything, so I pick up my reins if I need to, but you can see that generally they're just loose. So we're gaiting for, several hundred feet here. He gaited farther, but I had to pick up the reins just a little bit to correct it. So you can see kind of how that works. Let's see. Emmy says, do you ask for head down with groundwork as well? Yes. Emmy, I have a few training videos. I'll try to share the links. If I don't, remind me. Connie says, I wish you could hear. Help. I don't understand, but hopefully this helps. Michelle says, I've taught my mare to keep her head down, but I struggle, keep her gait, but struggle to put the head down. That just takes practice. If you want to send me a video of what you're doing, maybe I can give you some help. Penny says, I joined the private group yesterday morning. When will I be approved? I'm excited to learn more. Penny, you have to ask to be approved, or I think I did approve you already right away. So if you have any issues, let me know. Chrissy says, I can't just drop my reins. My mare, she goes wherever she wants, maybe one day. Well, honestly, I will tell you that part of the ability to ride my horse down the road with a loose rein like this is that I actually spend time training for them to go in a straight line and move off my leg, so instead of just wandering all over. Now, it would look a little different if I was riding in the pasture or the arena, but I'm on a road, or if you're on the trail, this should be fairly easy to do because I train my horses to not wander all over on the road, but that actually takes training. Hi, from Canada. Nice. What kind of saddle do I ride in? Susan asks. I ride in an Isabel Wintec dressage saddle, but I am this year going to be trying a freeform treeless saddle that a friend of mine sells. So once it gets warm enough that I can put some time on my horses, I'll be doing a video reviewing that and showing you what it looks like. Tammy says, my horse loves to zigzag more than a straight line. Tammy, just like everything else I teach, it's just training. Amarins, I'm glad you like this. But anyway, so much of this, Chrissy said she'd go to the grass. Oh, Chrissy, it's just training. I mean, you have to know. And Buck is trained. I trained him to, stop and eat grass as a reward as well. So a lot of this is very much training. So if anybody has questions, keep posting those. I have time to answer them. If you wanted to go back and see the gaits again, I can. I'm just going to go through them again, just so you can see. This is a 5-year-old spotted saddle horse. And so again, he's also trained to ignore the grass and just to go in a straight line because I actually don't let my horses wiggle. It's funny. So like this horse, if you brought me a horse for training and I train him for 6 weeks to gait, and then you come get your horse and we're doing lessons, and look at me, I'm not doing anything with my legs hardly to stay in a straight line. If a different rider then got on, they would not be able to get the horse to go in a straight line because they don't actually ask the horse to go in a straight line. So much of what we do is how specific are you? How important is it to you that your horse goes in a straight line? Well, I ride on the road a lot. It's really important that the horse stays. If I want a video, like look at him staying right next to the side of the road. If he was wandering all over the road, it would make it very difficult to get a video like this. Or to go where I want. I actually am very specific about asking them to go in a straight line. And that's partly why they do it, because I actually ask them to go in a straight line. Becky says hers did too. We worked along the fence line and that helps. Time and consistency. Yep. May says I ride in a treeless saddle, but I'm aware folks say it's unfair to my horse. Will it hurt his back? Your thoughts? Well, all treeless saddles are not created equal. I think there are not good ones. I like this one because a lot of people and endurance riders do use this without making the horses sore. I think a lot of folks that are heavier, it's unwise for them to ride in a treeless saddle for a long time. If you ride in a treeless saddle, but you ride for 20 to 40 minutes at a time, that won't hurt the horse any more than a regular saddle would. But if you ride for 5-10 hours a day, that may not be as good, and that's where a really well-fitting saddle is important, no matter if it's treeless or has a tree. And Terry says he still wants this horse. I know you do, Terry. Linda says, do I have head-down videos from the rider view? I have a hard time recognizing head-down when riding. Practice, I don't have any from the rider's view, but I can try to get some in a few weeks. Diane says, I will touch my horse my leg or slight shift my weight to correct him as he tends to sightsee. Yep, that just is using your leg to say, nope, stay where I'm asking. Connie says hers goes like a drunken sailor. That's because you let him go like a drunken sailor. You didn't train him to go in a straight line. Tammy says I won an IMS 4-beat saddle. I'm not trying to badmouth them. I'm not a fan of the IMS saddles because they put your legs really far forward. If you watch me as I go past here, my legs are mostly under me. The IMS saddle puts your legs out in front. Okay, yeah, Christy's just saying that her horse wanders all over. It's a very common tale. All right, let's look at the next clip. Again, this little Rocky mare. She's not totally on a loose rein like the other horses are because this is just day 3 of gait training at a clinic. But you can start to see how I'm not going to hold the pressure. I'm going to ask her to bring her nose in and drop her head, and then I'll put my hands forward and release that pressure. Not trying to hold any kind of headset or hold the gait in. And you can see it here. See there, she has a loose rein. And if she puts her head up and starts getting pacey, which she did there, as you can see, it's stepping pace. As soon as she drops her head, she gets back into that nice, even 4-beat gait. So this is I believe she's a Tennessee Walker, but I can't remember for sure. This is Dreamer. And she tended to be pacey and trotty. And you can see me do a little correction and then give her a loose rein. Brooke says, can I explain leg cues sometimes? I want to make sure I'm being consistent. I can talk about it sometime, but here's my leg cue. I squeeze to go forward. I don't ever kick a horse. And basically also for turning, that gets a little more complicated, but it's a good idea. I will add it to my list of what videos to work on. Because when you do leg cues left and right, that gets a little more complicated, but that's a good question. Emmy says, my horse gaits really well on the road or a trail flat surface, but in the arena, loose footing, she trots a lot more and has less motivation to keep gaiting. I mean, it's super normal. I did a little bit of a talk about this. Anytime you have a trotty horse, they are more likely to trot on deeper footing. And so what you have to do is you have to give more energy and movement, and you have to stop and brace. Okay, I mean, if you have any specific questions, go ahead and ask, but I'm going to post a clip for yesterday's video in the description where I talk about gaiting on circles and straight lines because I talk about this a lot in that video. All right, we'll go to the next clip. This is Maggie. Again, bitless bridle, and look at those loose reins. You see me lift my reins to correct, but then immediately give a loose rein.
Oh, good nag.
Just so you guys can hear it.
Oh, okay. Oh, good nag.
There you go, really nice. And then another clip of Maggie here, going the other way. You'll see me pick up my reins a little to correct her, but then give a loose rein. And then she got a little trotty there at the end. Again, this is only after 3 days at a clinic. And then here is Buck, gaiting on a loose rein. Diane asks, what about DP saddles with movable panels? I have not used them at all, so I can't really speak to that. Tammy says, thanks for doing this. You're very welcome. Emmy, you're very welcome. Susan says, I may have talked about 2-hand reining for training head down. Is one hand better once the head down is trained? I always ride 2-handed, except for trail riding like now because I don't need to use my reins. But when I train, I'm always riding 2-handed. So, I mean, if your horse is soft enough that he can just drop his head easily, then of course riding with one rein is super great. I mean, there's no problem with that at all. But I train always 2-handed. It's not really good to train using just one hand during training. Nan says, Jack, her Tennessee Walker, has been diagnosed with mild locking stifle. Any suggestions for mitigating his discomfort? Nan, I'm not a vet. I have not actually had an issue with locking stifles that I know of. So I wish I could speak to that, but I can't answer your question. Chrissy says, is there any concern with Maggie? I'll go back to that video, with Maggie's nose being out. So is there any concern with her nose being out? That's a great question. And actually, there's no concern. So many people think your horse has to gait with their nose in, but many horses do a very comfortable gait with the nose out. More important than the nose out is the horse's head near level. So notice that her head is not high. It's very comfortable. She's lifting the base of her neck. That's more important. So the nose out is wonderful. It's really only an issue if you're showing. And since I'm not showing, And honestly, if I was showing, I would probably let my horses do this until they were advanced, because that gait is perfect, that balance is perfect, and if they can hold that a long time without me pulling on their face or having light contact, that's even better. Hi, Bonnie. And Rachel says, where does a bitless bridle offer pressure when you lift? Well, they just feel the change in the reins. Imagine if you were holding a bitless bridle and I lifted the reins, how it would feel. Generally, what it does, most of these cross-unders put a little pressure on the nose and then the poll and under the jaw, which is why I don't prefer a cross-under bridle. Angelina says, I love the videos. She's new to gaited horses. Well, I'm glad the videos are helping. Meg Ann says, what is the surface of the roads like? Asphalt, hard gravel. Most of the roads at home that I'm riding on is called seal coat. I've also heard it called chip and seal. And sometimes I do ride on hard asphalt. Explain the lift the reins to correct, Gerda says. Or Gerda. Sorry, Gerda. So lifting the reins is to help the horse get out of the trot. That's it. You don't lift the reins if your horse is pacing. It doesn't help you at all. If your horse is trotty, you lift the reins to teach them to put their head up. Now remember, this is day 3. This is not day 1. So you're seeing the little bit more advanced training. Diane says, I was told by a saddle fitter to get short-skirted saddle for a high-withered. So basically, a lot of gaited horses have a short back, and many of these big Western saddles are pushing on their lower back, so a short skirt is better. Allison says, so nice to see video of horses relaxed and gaiting on a loose rein rather than all jacked up and worried and tight. I know. Isn't this such a beautiful sight when they actually gait like this? Linda says, what bitless do I recommend? There's a lot of bitless out there. I don't really like cross-unders, and I don't like any bitless bridle that has you have a tight noseband or that moves around the horse's head. I have a bitless bridle that I developed, but it's nothing more. It's basically like a halter, but in leather, and so it looks nicer. But it's not going to give you any more pressure or control than a halter. Let's see. Julia, you're welcome. And Nan, you're welcome. Sorry I couldn't be more help, Nan. So that's basically, I just love gaiting. And I think somebody put a kind of not a nasty comment, but they're asking why I would gait on a loose rein. I do it because it shows that the horse is comfortable. I don't have to pull on his head. I mean, people talk about how, using a bit can be cruel. I mean, anybody can cause pain with any bit or bitless, but we can know that the horse is really comfortable if we're riding on a loose rein, if we're not having to put pressure. We also know that he's well trained because he's going in a straight line. He's gaiting and balanced without any pressure from the rider, and he's maintaining the same speed without constant rein pressure, which is really, really what we want. So again, for anybody joining now, this video will be available, as soon as this video is done. I'm going to post links to my private training group and some other videos that were mentioned, including yesterday's video, which talks about more about where, how to ride an arena, circles and straight lines. So that's going to address that a little bit more. I have videos on breaking up the pace, which I'll share that link as well. Breaking up the trot. What is a foxtrot? I mean, many other videos as I'm doing these live videos, and I take any suggestions from you guys. So this is your last chance to go ahead and post any of your questions so I can answer them while I'm still live. And then hopefully tonight or tomorrow morning I'll be posting a schedule for next week so you know what I'll be covering. And it's starting to get slowly warmer and less muddy here. I hope more and more people are able to ride. I'm maybe going to try to do another trick training or progress video for you tomorrow. I haven't been doing a lot of training this week because it got colder here in Illinois. Again, my name is Ivy Schexnayder. This video is on training the horses to gait on a loose rein. Let's see. Why not lift the reins for pacing? Need to speed the pace up to get out of the pace. So lift the reins up for pacing because pacey horses, we want to train their heads to drop. Again, watch my video on the pacing. We don't want to lift the reins to get their head. If they're pacing, we don't want their head up. We want it down. So lifting the reins would be ineffective. Amy says I have a DP Ibero Verano that she rides in. She loves it. And the thing is, some saddles fit some horses well, some don't. That's why I can't recommend any single kind of saddle yet. Maggie says today is catch-up day on videos she's missed. And she said thanks for keeping available after they're live. You're welcome. I know not everybody can join for the live sessions. People have lives. Melissa, you're welcome. Diane, you're welcome. Linda, you're welcome. Yes, everybody, I hope you enjoy your weekend and have a good time, even through some of these trials that people are experiencing. And I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. I hope you get a chance to ride, and you got this.